Now, the Bhagavad Gita is a very important text for all students of Kriya Yoga. And the Kriya Masters of the past actually made it a rule that students of Kriya Yoga should read some parts of the Bhagavad Gita every day in order to get their inspiration. Now, Kriya Yoga, the essence of Kriya Yoga is action grounded in the awareness of the divine or in self-realization. And guess what? The Bhagavad Gita is all about action with awareness of the divine. And that's why it's important for us to read Gita all the time, so that it becomes a part of our mind, so that we can be programmed with the wisdom from the Gita. Now, the whole of the Gita is very important. Every chapter has its own, importance to us. But I found that chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6, especially for new students of Kriya, are especially helpful. And chapter 3 is called the Path of Action. And what it is all about is talking about action, that you can act with self-control and without desires, and that you can offer up the results of your actions to the divine without any expectations or without any attachment. And that's very important, because it's very easy, especially for advanced students in Kriya Yoga or other types of yoga, to get cities and to get experiences that reinforces the ego rather than gets rid of the ego. And the sense of I-ness and importance gets increased. And so it's very important to let go of the ego, to surrender the results of your actions to the divine, to understand that you're actually acting not through the I, but the true self is the one that is acting. Now in chapter 4, it's called the Path of Wisdom. And Lord Krishna explains how the wise sees inaction in action and action in inaction. And he explains all that. Very helpful. He also talks about how our actions form a type of sacrifice. Instead of doing the Vedic sacrifice, the practitioner of Kriya Yoga in their pranayam is doing an internal sacrifice, an antaryagna. They're offering up the upward and outward flow, or the upward flow of pran into the downward flow of apan, or the offering the downward flow of apan into the upward flow of pran. And that's the Kriya Pranayam that we all do. So that's actually explained in chapter 4. In chapter 5, called the Path of Renunciation, many new students of yoga and Kriya Yoga especially think that they have to renounce the world, go off somewhere into a cave or something. But Lord Krishna explained that the true renunciation is an internal renunciation. It's the renunciation of the ego, taking the credit for your own actions. This is especially important for the householder Kriya Yogi. And Kriya Yoga has been given by the Mahavtar Babaji for Lahiri Mahasya to us now. And it's very important to understand you don't have to make an outward show of giving up the world. It's really an internal exercise of renunciation. So that's what chapter 5 talks about. And even chapter 6 talks about the path of practice. Lord Krishna in it lays down some rules of how to meditate. And then he talks about what are the signs that someone has meditated, is a meditator, is a yogi. What are these signs? He actually explains in chapter 6. So really, the Bhagavad Gita is a manual of Kriya Yoga.